So you have probably heard a lot about this bill from people who are supporting and opposing the bill, but one thing I would just like to say, just very specifically hone in on what this bill does. This bill would prohibit the sale of e-cigarettes in vending machines in the state of California. Members, let me tell you why I brought this bill. Back in 2009, I introduced a bill, Senate Bill 400, to prohibit the sale of e-cigarettes to minors. E-cigarettes are a new technology, so they were not considered part of the STAKE Act. I was unsuccessful in having the governor sign that bill, although that bill passed the legislature, and that would have amended the STAKE Act. In 2010, I then introduced Senate Bill 882, once again, attempting to ensure that e-cigarettes could not be sold to minors in the state of California. That bill was signed. That is now the law. Members, I am concerned about the safety effects of e-cigarettes on our young people. I am concerned about any impacts that may cause addiction to tobacco, and I'm concerned that we should be making sure that young people are not able to have easy access to e-cigarettes. This bill previously required that e-cigarettes would be regulated the same way cigarettes are with regard to the places where we do not allow the smoking of cigarettes. That bill was not supported in the Governmental Organization Committee, so the bill was amended so that it would have an opportunity to continue along this course of work to keep these e-cigarettes out of the hands of young people. So this bill does one thing. It prohibits the sale of e-cigarettes in vending machines in the state of California. We do not want e-cigarettes to be as easy to purchase as a can of soda pop or a Snickers bar, and that's what this bill does. Under current law, there are no restrictions on where vending machines selling e-cigarettes can be located. Companies are developing and marketing specialized vending machines to sell only e-cigarettes. If you do a little Googling, you can find that information out. And no law on our books now prohibits adding e-cigarettes to existing vending machines either that sell snacks and sodas, for example. The e-cigarette industry is growing, and I think that it is very important, if we have a law on our books that prohibits the sale to minors, that we should have one-on-one transactions to ensure that that law can do what it is supposed to do, and that is to keep e-cigarettes out of the hands of young people. So that is why this bill has been brought before you today. I ask for your support. I think it is an important measure, and I hope you have an opportunity to analyze all of the information that is made available to you, and will support this bill to prohibit the sale of e-cigarettes in vending machines.
Great. Let's go to your first witnesses in support.
Hello, my name is Sally Getch. I vote in Contra Costa County. And some of you have seen me in front of this committee before. I'm a non-smoker. I am married to a man who was able to stop using tobacco cigarettes thanks to e-cigarettes and vapor products, for which I am profoundly grateful. And I think that e-cigarettes are good for adults and not good for minors. And so I support this bill as it is currently amended, because I don't think minors should be able to get e-cigarettes from vending machines. Thank you.
Wonderful. Next witness.
Hi, my name is Jan Parcel. I'm a resident of Cupertino. When I told my daughter I would never stop smoking, she said, well, have you considered giving up tar? And I'm now mostly not smoking. I haven't given up the first one in the morning yet, but that's down 24 from where I was. She sent me an email last night saying she also managed to get her father, her stepmother, both of her brothers, and her other sisters to also switch to e-cigs, and that now she can hug us. It does not trigger her asthma. So I'm very much in favor of adult access, very much opposed to minor access. She's 35, so when I say siblings,
right.
And I'm supporting this bill.
Thank you. Is there public comment in support? Are there witnesses in opposition?
Good morning. Tim Gibbs with the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, and we oppose SB648 because of a last-minute poison pill amendment inserted at the behest of the Governmental Organization Committee. While the bill may be well-intentioned, it sets a dangerous precedent. The tobacco companies that increasingly control the e-cigarette market are engaged in a nationwide strategy to differentiate e-cigarettes from other tobacco products in order to evade proper regulation. The intent of this bill is to prohibit e-cigarette sales in some vending machines, but what the bill actually does is entrench in California law that e-cigarettes are somehow different than other tobacco products. Right now you can smoke e-cigarettes in movies, restaurants, grocery stores, and other places where people congregate, and the tobacco companies want to keep it that way. This bill would represent a victory for tobacco interests because it would make it harder to regulate e-cigarettes. We hope you side with the public health community and against tobacco and vote no on this flawed bill.
Hello, Callie Hampt on behalf of the American Heart and American Stroke Association. For the reasons stated by my colleague, we strongly oppose this bill. I will only add that this bill does not advance strong public policy in regards to regulating e-cigarettes. In fact, it does just the opposite. It takes us 2 steps back in our efforts to regulate e-cigarettes as tobacco products. The tobacco industry is working diligently nationwide and in this building today to further themselves from both cigarettes and tobacco products, and this bill does just that. This bill sets a dangerous precedent surrounding the categorization of e-cigarettes, and in the interest of protecting the public health, we urge your no vote. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Kimberly Amazine, representing the American Lung Association, California Today. The tobacco industry has a clear agenda today. It's playing out and reflected in state legislatures all across the country: Arkansas, Alabama, Kentucky, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, you name it. All of them have had to deal with the industry coming in and looking to classify e-cigarettes as something other than a tobacco product. The big 3 tobacco companies are all heavily invested in the e-cigarette business now. I would like to remind this committee that the tobacco companies are convicted racketeers, which means for decades they misled the public with false and misleading claims about their product. The same is happening with e-cigarettes. This bill, we wish, was just about protecting kids, but the specific amendments that were taken in GO set a precedent that we will be fighting here in these committees, in these hearings, in the next coming years. There is no reason to vote yes on this bill. There is a clear distinction. Very often, we find ourselves battling an opponent that doesn't come out in public and take a support or oppose position. It happens behind closed doors. It happens in the hallways. Enjoy was here, was in GO, taking a support position. They did not support this bill until these specific amendments were taken. These amendments set the precedent for future fights, and we ask you today, and appeal to you today, to vote with public health. Do not vote with the tobacco industry, and vote no on the bill. Thank you.
Public comment in opposition.
Alicia Sanchez with the California Medical Association. As an original supporter of the introduced version of SB 648, we regrettably are here in opposition for the reasons previously stated. We fear that this would set a precedent that would undermine our intent to see e-cigarettes regulated in the same way as other tobacco products, and so would urge your no vote. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Liz Schaefer. I'm a student at USC, and I'm in opposition to this bill.
Let's go to Department of Finance.
Finance is neutral on this bill, which minimizes exposure of the public, particularly children, to electronic cigarettes at no cost to the state. We note there will be a minor sales and use tax revenue decrease. And lastly, we note that Finance has determined that the provisions of the bill are unlikely to result in a reimbursable mandate consistent with legislation that provided authority to local enforcement agencies to enforce the Stop Tobacco Access to Kids enforcement.
All right, let's go to questions or comments from the panel. Dr. Pan.
Thank you, Senator Corbett. I know that you're someone who's worked hard actually to restrict access to tobacco, but and I understand that the original bill seemed to be more in line. I have shared the concerns that the public health folks have brought up, but I did want to give you an opportunity perhaps to, so I'm going to pose as a question. So in terms of your response to the definitional issues in this bill, which I have to say that if they're not corrected, I don't think I'm going to be able to support the bill today. But I want to hear your response to that.
And let me jump in just really quickly, too, and build on that. The situation we had here was a previous committee chairperson had inserted amendments. Policy committee had inserted amendments. I would just underscore that. I mean, at its core, this is a bill to keep kids away from e-cigarettes. And I know Senator Corbett, she would never introduce something that otherwise. And I mean, some of the advocates who are here today, I would just direct you to the core of this bill, which is reducing kids from getting access to products. So, Ms. Corbett?
Well, there's no doubt that there is a very heated and emotional battle going on across this country to continue to ensure the health of children and adults, for that matter. And e-cigarettes have become part of this debate as well. And I think if one were to read the bill, it's a very simple bill to read. It's a couple of pages. What it says is that electronic cigarettes cannot be sold in the state of California in vending machines. And it further says that there will be no diminishing of any other state, local, or federal law with regard to e-cigarettes, its definition, the regulation currently in place. And in addition to that, when these amendments were requested by the GO committee, the first thing I did was I contacted Ledge Council to ask them whether they felt that this would be precedent-setting, whether it would change in any way the definition of e-cigarettes or the way in which we regulate tobacco in the state of California, and I was told no. I further checked with other experts on the subject. I've asked the opposition for legal analysis to indicate that their point of view is correct with regard to how this may change the law, and they have not been able to provide me legal analysis. They have their other reasons for being in opposition. But I have to look at the black and white print of this bill, and I hope you understand my black and white commitment to keeping cigarettes out of the hands of young people, and e-cigarettes for that matter. And I think what's really ironic is, in the future years, if someone comes and tries to pass a bill to prohibit the use of e-cigarettes or the sale of e-cigarettes in machines, I think it's going to be even harder. I think there will be more people coming to this Capitol building to try to talk members out of voting for a bill like this. So this might be your last chance to support a bill like this. The federal law is very clear also that e-cigarettes are, under the Tobacco Act, according to the United States Court of Appeal, will be regulated as under the Tobacco Act, that e-cigarettes are tobacco products. So the precedent that we're talking about is already black and white as well. So I know this is a very emotional battle, and I know that people are concerned about who's going to win or lose on this bill. But who's going to lose if this bill doesn't pass are young people who will have easy access to vending machines. Now, I'm not